And we are finally, live.
We are here.
I love it. And we are back doing our lives this week.
We're here.
We have an awesome topic tonight.
We do.
We're going to talk about fully healing your triggers.
Yes.
Trigger, baby, trigger. Woof.
Bring it on. Yes.
So what is a trigger before we get started?
Well, first, I just want to say, Haley, this is my jam. This is my topic. I love talking about triggers because everybody has triggers. I mean, there's not a human on the planet who doesn't have a trigger. And so it's really important to heal those triggers. So yeah, let's start with what is a trigger. What is a trigger? Well, a trigger is an open wound, an old story, right? It's one of those things, right? It's an old story. It's an open wound, right? Emotional wound. Yep. It's something from the past. And so when people are triggered, they think immediately, oh, she or he is being an a-hole, and I don't like that, right? A trigger, in a nutshell, is basically anything or anyone who pisses you off or hurts you the most.
And rationally or irrationally?
Both.
Yeah,
right?
Both.
So it's because it could be a commercial that you see that triggers you, right? It could be an actor on TV. It could be a TV show. It could be anything or anybody that triggers you. And what it is so it's not that person. It's not that person. It's not the TV show. It's not even what they say. It's the reaction that the triggered person receives by that behavior. And so then it's time to like go down the rabbit hole of saying, okay, why does this trigger me? What is it about this, whatever this is, that is triggering me, so that you can identify it, right? So like I go down a series of questions to ask somebody when they're triggered, to really fully identify why they're being triggered. And so that we can first identify it, link it to whatever the old story is or the open wound is, to heal it. Because once we know what it is, then we can go in and heal it.
Yeah.
Make sense?
Absolutely. Yeah. You can't heal it if you don't know it's there causing you grief.
Right. Yeah. So if somebody just goes their whole life and just says, people with purple hair piss me off, I hate that color. And they just go through their whole life and they're just like, that just pisses me off. And that pisses me. And they never like stop and think like, why does purple hair piss me off?
Right. Exactly. What is it about purple hair? What is it about the story of purple hair that really pisses me off?
Yes. And then go through a series of questions and really like, because it's about the person who's being triggered. It's not about the person with the purple hair. It's about how you feel about what you're seeing or what you're hearing or who that person is. Because sometimes, here's another thing. Sometimes we'll meet somebody and that person, their energy, or even their appearance will remind us of somebody in our past that triggers us.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
And then we automatically don't like that person just because that mere fact that they look like or their energy is resembling somebody that we don't like.
Person, right. And they could have absolutely nothing to do with that person.
Absolutely.
And likely do have absolutely nothing to do with them. And, their energy just happened to be off that day, but you've decided forever that you hate them. Yes. And they piss you off just the look of them.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So that's why identifying and healing the triggers are so important, because it's not emotionally healthy for somebody or mentally healthy for somebody to go their entire life and just say, I hate people with purple hair and they effing piss me off. And every time I see somebody, I just react that way. And then they're in constant like, and they don't stop and ask why.
Right. So why is this bothering me?
Yes.
And what is it about this person that really triggers me?
Right.
Right.
And so this Saturday in my VIP day, I'm going to dive way deep into the triggers and how to heal them, because I have a series of questions that I go through with my clients and on the VIP day to really break it up, chop it up so that we can identify. And it's a writing exercise. And so I ask the questions, and then the people on the VIP are going to answer them with pen and paper. And this is also a releasing, because when we do pen to paper, we release it out of our body. So as you answer the questions and you go through the process and you're writing it, it's releasing it all the way out of your body so that you no longer are triggered by purple hair or whatever it is for that person. So like for me, the first time that I realized that what a trigger was and how triggered I was when I was going through my healing journey, and my then empowerment coach had asked me something along the lines of my ex. And I think she said something like, well, what was your part in it, in the relationship? Yeah. And it triggered me because I thought immediately to myself, I was like, wait a minute, I'm not the one who lied. I'm not the one who cheated. I'm not the one who did drugs, right? I'm not. So I was blaming, not taking responsibility for myself and not looking at, wait a minute, what was my contribution in that relationship? So that was my first experience with being triggered. And then going down the series of questions, and now that's no longer a trigger. Yeah. Like if somebody was to ask me, what is your part in the relationship, in the marriage that failed? It's like, oh, I'll tell you exactly what my part was, because now I see it. I fully see it. And this is also about getting to know yourself, right? When you can figure out your triggers and what that old story is and what that wound is, then you're getting to know yourself on a deeper level. And doesn't that speak like self-love to its fullest?
Yeah. Well, and that's one of the things too, is like so many times we may be, relatively blameless in a situation. I didn't cause him to cheat. I didn't cause him to do drugs. I didn't do this. I didn't do that. So how the hell is this my fault? Well, right. Maybe, yes, the fact that he did drugs was not my fault. But that doesn't mean that I am completely blameless and that I didn't hold some of the power in that relationship, and that there weren't things that I was doing to contribute to the scenario.
Exactly.
And exacerbate things without ever being willing to really look at it, because, hey, I'm the victim here.
Right. Yes. I was very much still in my victim story, and I really liked being the victim, because then I could make him the bad guy and make him look like, the X, Y, and Z. And I looked pure. And that's,
yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
But that didn't serve me.
It
serves nobody to be in their victim story.
No, it doesn't. And what's interesting too, and I've dealt with this quite a bit, and I've done it myself, is that the longer you stay the victim, people might feel sorry for you. Oh, you poor thing. Pat, 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 pat on top of the head. Oh, let me rub your back. But as long as you stay in that victimhood, you can't ever transcend that.
No. Correct.
Yeah. And people are never going to do anything more than, oh, you poor little thing.
Yeah. And how would you be
an empowered on that woman? Energy.
Yes. We do.
That feels so good. Here, pat me on my little head, stroke my back, make me feel better. Here, why don't you wallow down in that sewage energy a bit longer? Feels good, right? Because, of course, I didn't cause the situation myself.
Right. Yep. It's the lower energies, the lower emotions. if you look at the Map of Consciousness by Dr. David Hawkins, this is something that I talk a lot about with my clients and my community. And he scaled the emotions of shame and guilt all the way at the bottom of the Map of Consciousness. So when we're in that blame game, that's also way down at the bottom, right? And the victim, right? I'm the victim. And then also that's child energy. Right? The child energy is the one who takes zero responsibility for themselves and in any situation, and is constantly pointing the finger at everybody and everything. This is also what I tell women about how to identify a narcissist. Well, that is one of the key points, is when they take zero responsibility for themselves, for everything. Like, oh, so did you go to college? No, I couldn't go to college because my parents couldn't afford for me to go to college. You know what I mean? Like, there was nothing that was their fault. Everything is a pointed finger at somebody or something of why they couldn't or wouldn't, or why they
didn't,
all of it.
And it's really, really easy to wallow in that. And I mean, I speak from personal experience of, it is very easy to wallow in the, oh my gosh, this and this and this and this and this happened. And oh my gosh, this client was such a douche, or my husband, oh my God, he is such a rat fink, blah, 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 and not really taking that full ownership. And I actually told a friend of mine that I saw this pattern of behavior in myself, and I was trying to figure out what things I was doing to trigger certain things that were happening in my life. And she's like, oh, I'm sure you don't have any responsibility for that. And I'm like, actually, I do. Everything in my life, every way I react to a scenario, is something that I am causing energetically, mentally, emotionally,
right.
Somehow, some way, I am causing these scenarios. I'm trying to figure out what the heck I'm doing. And she just kind of was like, that's really weird.
Friends and family are great, but they're not ones to go to for something like that, like advice like that, right? Because like you said, even before, they'll just pat you on the back and let you stay in your victim story. They won't like pull you out of it or call you out on your crap and say, wait a minute, what part do you have in this, or whatever the scenario is, and I hear that a lot. Like, I try to figure this out on my own, and my friends are great and they give great advice, but
I don't know what to do here. I can't find my way out of this. Okay. Here's the thing. Very few things are actually rocket science.
I say that all the time. I'm like, it's really not rocket science. It really isn't. And it isn't.
I mean, it doesn't require advanced calculus or,
You're so right.
no nonlinear differential equations, which are so much fun, by the way. It doesn't require that kind of stuff. It just requires sitting down and really thinking about it. And it's really cool how that works. So I want to take a quick break. Who are you and what are you doing here, Denise?
Oh, who am I? Oh, I thought you were talking to the I am Denise Kavaliauskas. I'm a woman's transformational love coach, specializing in helping women heal from narcissistic relationships, toxic relationships, abusive relationships, any relationship. And why am I here? I'm here to spread this message of how to, tonight it's about triggers, how to heal your triggers, how to identify them and fully heal them. And and this is, like I said, this is my topic because obviously if somebody has toxic people in their life, there's triggers that need to be healed.
And we've chosen to have them in our lives.
Absolutely. I know, right? You said it, not me.
I did.
But it depends on what level.
Sometimes they can change. It's amazing to me.
Yeah. It depends on what level somebody is, whether they're receptive to what you just said, or they're totally thinking you're absurd for what you just said.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I get it. I totally understand it.
Yeah.
And I mean, we do choose who we allow in our lives, in our minds, in our hearts, in our souls.
Mm-hmm. Yep. We do. Everything in our outside world is a direct reflection of our inside world. And so that's one of the key things that I share with women is like, well, wouldn't you like to get to a point where you don't have this animosity and resentment and hate towards whoever the toxic person is in their life?
Mm-hmm.
Wouldn't you like to let that go and have yourself feel free inside of you and not hold on to this story that is hurting you energetically? And also, these stories manifest into an illness. The body is going to react to the emotions that we have. The body is the mind and the mind is the body.
And
So
we damage ourselves so much the more we focus on that enmity and hatred,
yeah.
and those negative feelings.
Yep.
We're not hurting that other person. They could care less.
Exactly. It's we're the ones who are hurt and walk around with that clenched, negative, heavy baggage energy day in and day out. And then people wonder why I'm so tired all the time. I have such fatigue. Well, maybe it's the emotions, the heavy emotions that you're carrying around inside. That could be it. I don't know if that is, but it's a possibility that that's one of the reasons why you're so fatigued. You're carrying around, it's like a heavy backpack on your back. You wake up in the morning and you're like,
you're carrying around an extra 160 pounds all the dang time.
Exactly.
And I wonder why you're maybe feeling a bit tired, and you're also like using all of these mental, emotional, energetic cycles that you could be putting on other things or spending on other things, but you've allowed yourself to literally energy vampire yourself into this state of being.
Yep.
Because remember, that person doesn't care.
No.
Not really.
No. And for narcissists, like there's the narcissist and then there's the narcissist supply. So as long as somebody is feeding into their energy, whether it is in person or at a distance, they are being the narcissist supply. They're feeding them. So like in my scenario, I'm here in North Carolina, my ex is in Florida. And as long as I was blaming him and I was, rehashing my old story and feeling sorry for myself, I was still being his supply because I was still feeding into the old story. Whether, he energetically felt that, but you know what I mean? Like you said, he's going on with his life, but I was the one who was swirling around in that cesspool. Yeah. Okay.
Stewing around in the sewage.
Yeah. Okay. Sewage, cesspool, same difference.
It is exactly the same thing, but we stew ourselves in that energy. And then we were like, oh, well, I wonder why I feel so, it could be, so awful and, I feel so terrible. Well, okay, here's maybe why.
Energetic addictions. We all have them. Energetic addictions. Addicted. And I know I was energetically addicted to my ex. I was energetically addicted to drama. I was energetically addicted to chaos. I was energetically addicted to putting out fires because, again, I felt like I was doing something good, right? Here comes this situation, and then I came in and put it out, saved the day or whatever.
I was so darn virtuous.
Yeah, exactly. So even though I was trying to be modest about it at the time.
And that's another energetic suck.
We could
Shall
just
we
go
list all the energetic sucks in the room? That's another one. Yeah.
Exactly.
Being too modest, overly boastful. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. So in other words, like both of the people, they get something from the exchange, the energy exchange. This is why I talk to a lot of women who are already divorced from the narcissist. They've already gone through the divorce, they've left, and then he's still dragging her back to court every 7 years for whatever, or every 2
Or
years.
more often, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, some of the stories some of my friends who are divorce attorneys tell, I'm like, how in the world can you live with this? They're like constantly in court. I'm like, the only person getting rich off this is the divorce attorney.
Yep. And yeah, they're loving it. They're keeping them busy. And that's what I say to them. You have to cut the energetic cords from these people. And one of the ways is for you to heal these triggers so that you're not triggered anymore by this situation, by this person, so that you can completely cut yourself. You may be divorced for X amount of years, but you're still energetically connected. There's no cord that's been cut. You're still connected.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and maybe even addicted.
Absolutely. Yes. Absolutely addicted. Yeah.
Yeah. And then that energetic addiction is what it is.
It is.
You know, we all have our little addictions.
Yeah.
As I sit here and sip on my Dr. Pepper.
Yeah. That's another great topic to talk about, is addictions and all the different addictions, because for addictions, our minds go to the first, drugs, alcohol, gambling, shopping, the obvious ones. But there's, like you said, we all have an addiction.
Right. And, and this energetic addiction to these triggers almost, it's a thing.
That's a good topic. I just got a email topic in my head.
There you go. Do I need to write it down for you?
Yeah. Energetic. Are you energetically addicted to, dot.
Mm-hmm.
Or something about their ex.
Oh, isn't that something, right?
Mm-hmm.
And, don't you hate when he bothers you, but then, feel that like rush of adrenaline and kind of feed on that?
Yeah. Totally. Yes. Because the women that I talked to, and the woman that I was addicted to that adrenaline, and thought, I was asking for a normal relationship or a healthy relationship or whatever on the other side of that. But in reality, subconsciously, I thought that was boring. So I was addicted to the drama and the chaos that would keep happening, because I thought the other side of that, and I had a woman just tell me that I was walking her through it, and she came to that realization for herself. She was like, wait a minute, I'm asking for this, but it just came up that I actually think that would be a boring relationship. And I got to share with her, like, yes, I've experienced that too. And I'm in a boring relationship now, but let me tell you, it's amazing, right? I laugh every day. I have so much fun. It's lots of adventures, and all of the stuff from the past, I wouldn't go back to that for anything. But when I look at it, I'm like, yeah, that was an emotional roller coaster, so unhealthy on so many levels. Yeah. So,
I feel you.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, and that's the thing, healing that and identifying that and facing that and being aware of that behavior in life, in your relationships, in your, romantic relationships, in business.
Yeah.
How many of us take on those clients because we can't imagine taking on the boring, easy ones?
Oh, Haley, I have a great story for a business one. My son does, he's just like, he's a carbon copy of his dad. and we talk every single day, and he tells me about all of these situations with these customers of his. So he does a service out in Colorado of fixing appliances, and it's just like story after story. And I'm thinking in my head, I'm like, oh my God, you're so addicted to this. You love this shit unconsciously, of course, right? It's not something that we consciously choose. It's an unconscious thing. So he tells me about, oh, I had to return money to this customer and this customer yelled at me and this customer, da, da, da. And it's every single day. There's some kind of a story in that realm of a customer, and he's just addicted to it because this is what he was shown by his environment growing up, and he took on that energy. And that's really all it is. And that's what I tell women. It is, again, it's not rocket science. You just have to shift your energy, heal the old stuff. That's all it is. It's not complicated at all.
No. And let's talk about the VIP day and healing the old stuff.
Since triggers is my jam, I included it in the VIP day. That is this Saturday, January 8th, from noon Eastern to 4 p.m. We're going to gather. We're going to go deep into these healing. And what I'm going to give to all the attendees is these tools that they have in their toolbox. So if they get triggered again by something else, because there's another story there that's ready to be healed. That's another thing about triggers, is whatever's coming up is ready to be healed. So that's the good news about triggers, right? So when we go down this toolbox that I'm going to give to them on Saturday, they'll have this forever. And they can use it. It's a series of questions that they're going to ask themselves. So when they get triggered again, they can just go boop, 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 done, and let it go. And like for me, it takes a lot to trigger me. I'm not saying I don't get triggered. Yes, I do, but not like I used to. Takes a lot.
Yeah, no, I'm kind of the same way. I'm pretty bomb-proof in a lot of ways, but I definitely do have my triggers.
Right. Yeah.
But it's been interesting learning about myself, what those triggers are, and where I'm, stewing or swimming in the little cesspit, and encouraging, more of it, weighing down on me while I'm at it, here, bring me more, do me more. And, it's important to really recognize those habits and those attributes as we're doing it to ourselves.
Yeah. And it's loving ourselves. It's a form of self-love to face that stuff and heal it. Yeah. That is the ultimate self-love, to be like, you know what? I really need to know these things about myself. I want to get to know myself. I'm tired of living this way, crying myself to sleep every night, or putting out fires, or whatever the case is. And that's what we're going to talk about on Saturday. We're going to dive deep into the self-love, because that's so important. It is literally the foundation of having everything that you're asking for in your life. So we're going to dive deep into the self-love. We're going to go down the trigger toolbox to give these tools to everybody who attends. And I'm so excited to do this. Last year was such a success. The testimonies are beautiful. And like, of course it lights me up, because I'm there, and it's a two-way street. I get as much as I give. So I'm excited to do this again this Saturday. It's going to be fun.
Isn't it funny how healing also heals us as we do it?
Absolutely. Yeah.
I love it so much.
I know.
Brings out the shaman-y side of me. I'm a little addicted to the healing piece.
It is, because you feel you're lighter. Every time you peel, shed, and heal something, you're lighter and lighter and lighter and lighter. And you just get lighter and lighter, which is freedom and liberation.
Oh, it's beautiful. It's lovely. I love it so much. Amore.
Yeah.
So cool. I love it. Yeah. Lighter and lighter. I love it. Y'all register for the VIP day. Give us a #registered. If you're registered, we would love to hear more from you. We'll be back tomorrow.
Yes. Thank you so much, Haley. This is a great topic.
Y'all, this is so juicy. You got to sign up. It's so amazing. See ya.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.